Have you told your friends that you see ghosts?
Oh, absolutely not.
Gina Rodriguez returns in Not Dead Yet.
I'm back, baby!
Who is up?
Oh, she's the obituary writer.
And Brad Garrett joins the brilliant ensemble cast.
Titan, Maverick, Titan of all Mavericks. These are all words used to describe me.
Not Dead Yet. Season premiere. Tonight, 8:30, 7:30 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
Hey guys, here's a little bonus episode for you. We wanted to, we put this up for a vote, and you guys voted for this one as the one you were most interested in hearing, which is a bit of a shame because it's probably, of the 3 live events we did, my least favorite. But we're going to drop all of them, so I don't mind that we're dropping my least favorite first because it'll just build up to what I think is the best one. I think Scott would agree on what the best one was, but we'll get to that later.
They're all pretty fucking embarrassing now, but we had a good time when we were embarrassing ourselves in front of people.
So I re-listened to this one because this was the one I remember the least about it. But this one was the 1/Wonders, which I have to say, I think the biggest issue with this particular live event was that it was coming off the high of what was our best panel immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the problem in any kind of situation like this is when you're running 3 of these in a day, the first one, if it kills, which it did, then you have return people that come for later panels and they're expecting it to build every time. And honestly, when you're having audience participation, there's no possible way to have it be as good every time. Especially without the surprise factor, because I think a lot of the first one, the reason it was so good was like the shock.
That was the second one. The first one we did was the rankings, which the rankings went okay, and it was a little rowdy. That one's fun to listen back on. I'm excited to drop that one later. But so this one, the concept was horror movies that there was only ever one movie made, but we felt like it was a good enough premise that it should have had a franchise. And this is actually, what's funny about this episode is a few things. Thing number one, Adam wasn't able to make it to any of these because his passport had not come in time, but he wrote in for this one, and he wrote in his proposal for a sequel to The Thing, which we won't spoil here, but I thought it was brilliant, and I believe the exact quote from you after I read it is, "That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard."
I feel like I've mellowed over the last couple years since we did this, because that's almost 3 years at this point. So yeah, maybe if I had another go at it, I wouldn't say such things. But also, when you're in front of a crowd and you're trying to be as obnoxious as possible, maybe I was just being a little harsh for the effect.
So the other thing I remember about this is that at the time of this recording, we had known each other in person for less than 24 hours, which will be a fact for every single one of these. Which that was really cool and surreal. Like, you drove from Ohio, and we had known each other for at least 2 years at that point. But we didn't know how, like, the first meeting was going to go, or if it was going to be awkward or not. And it was pretty much it was right to business, actually, because you were running late and we had to record some episodes with Adam on Skype.
Did we do 3 in a row that night?
We did 3 in a row that night.
Ooh, girl, that was fun.
And 2 of those 3 are, even though it was during the Reddit Horror Club, they became retroactive classics, which was Phantom of the Paradise and Puppet Master 3 were recorded that night. But yeah, you literally showed up. I gave you a hug. You walked into the basement, and we started recording 2 episodes.
No. You're missing the best part of that night, where I walked into the basement. I walked down to the basement, obviously. I didn't get murdered. Then we started trying to record, and we couldn't record in the same room. So
we did a whole episode in the same room, which is why it'll never be released as a retroactive episode.
Is that Motel Hell?
That was Motel Hell. There was a weird echo because I was sitting so close to you on a Skype call.
Well, I mean, it's not my fault that you were sitting on my lap.
Yeah, well,
literally, he was sitting on my lap caressing my chest hair, which made Motel Hell so much better, but that's another story for another day. But the best part about this is that I drove 5.5 hours to record in separate rooms. Matt went into his soundproof murder room, aka the laundry room, and we banged out Phantom of the Paradise and
Puppet Master 3.
Master 3.
And then we banged out each other. And then
Wait, was that the same night that we watched that I finally got to see Dr. Giggles for the first time?
No, it wasn't that night. It was the following night, because when we recorded this episode, when we did this live event, Dr. Giggles was one of my picks, and you said you had never seen it. And the whole crowd seemed way too shocked at that information. And I literally say in the episode, when we go home, I'm going to show you Dr. Giggles.
Which is not actually a euphemism for his junk. So
no,
FYI, buddy. Not at that point. It wasn't.
It's a good nickname for it though, because anytime someone sees it, they giggle.
Plus the whole pounding intensifies part.
Well, that was the thing. We kept taking screenshots of scenes from the movie and just sending it to Adam out of context. We also ended up just having like a 2-hour conversation with Adam via Skype. Like, we just called him up and we were sitting in the basement staring at my laptop and we just like shot the shit, which makes me excited for March, because I feel like we're going to actually get the physical version of that when we get to hang out, all three of us in one room. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of just random shoot the shit conversation that we get to have in like a hotel room.
Do you realize how distracted we're going to be that entire weekend? It's going to be impossible to record anything. I mean, we're going to do live events, but I'm just saying, like, holy shit, the three of us, that's
going to be energy that's like untouchable. And I posted this on the Facebook page at the time that we recorded this. I'm not going to drop this episode the same day, but fairly around there. I can't speak for Scott and Adam on how much they're willing to travel, but the only way that we can really come to a lot of the towns that you guys want to see us in is going to have to be if the convention is bringing us in as a guest. And what that means is when they're bringing us, where we're not paying for a booth, but where they're saying, we want you to be a guest at our con, we'll comp a hotel and get you a free table. Like, that makes a huge difference, because then we just have to worry about a plane ticket. You know what I mean? If you want to see us at these cons, like I said, there's two things we need you to do. Thing number one is you need to contact the convention and say that you want to see us, because if we just say that people want us there, then it just sounds like a bunch of dudes trying to get a free room. But the more people who are messaging those conventions and saying, yes, we would love to see a presence of Horror Movie Night there, the more they feel like paying for those tables and those hotel rooms is a good investment. Secondly, contact me and let me know so I can send them a brief like press release of who we are at the same time. But if you were to get us to some of your fantastic places where you live, you will get to hear episodes like this, live discussions like this. So here is the first of what will be 3 sporadic bonus episodes, the One/Wonders live episode. This is the final of the four panels. This one is One/Wonders. We'll be talking about movies that we love as horror fans that never got a sequel and probably should have deserved a sequel, or I would even go as far as a remake sometimes. I think sometimes you can't follow where the story left off, but you could try again and build it to be a franchise. Or just, sometimes, I still want to do a panel all of movies that I would want to remake, but that's for another day. Our one co-host, Adam, who is normally always on the show with us, wasn't able to make it, but he did send me an email of what I consider to be one of the most brilliant movie pitches I've ever heard.
Do you want to start it off with that?
If you want to start while I search for this one, I'll do it right after it.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the low-hanging fruit because these are two movies that I think really will never have a sequel because they'll never have a sequel because they're kind of stuck in production hell.
Yeah.
Like, because they both had sequels that were like on the books and nothing is going to happen because it's like 5 years, 7 years later.
Yeah.
Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer and Behind the Mask. Both
Behind the Mask had a Kickstarter campaign, I know, that did not succeed.
It was supposed to be a prequel, and nothing has happened, and they'll just post on Facebook like, oh, it's Nathan Beazle's the guy that played Leslie Vernon, and they'll be like, you know, it's his birthday, or they'll do something about something on Halloween, but that's it. So it's dead in the water. Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer
was fantastic.
Was amazing with the character construction, or the creature construction, Robert Englund and everything, and that was supposed to have a sequel as well, and the guy that wrote the first one, I think he wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
He wrote and directed a sequel, or he wrote a sequel and was going to direct it, and had funding, and then nothing since 2011 or something.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
Okay, so Adam sent me an email about how to make The Thing 2.
Because we're going to ignore The Thing.
Yeah, he goes for the purposes of this, we cannot count The Thing prequel as a secondary film. That's more of an origin story, and I always wanted to know where The Thing story would have gone after the movie. So in the final moments of The Thing, we see Childs and McReady sitting alone, the last two survivors. Neither sure whether the other is in fact The Thing, and McReady seemingly not caring anymore. They decide to sit, presumably to die, and the movie fades to black. Well, Childs is The Thing. He's been changed. And there are plenty of in-depth theories online if you're interested, but this is pretty much the consensus. The idea that I put forth is this. Childs consumes McReady. With his will to live almost gone already, McReady begins to fade away from the exposure, and in his dying moments, Childs consumes him. They both become The Thing and go into sort of a cryo status, and while they wait for human contact, eventually a crew is sent out to see what happened. They find the destroyed facility, the bodies of McReady and Child, and upon further inspection, they realize that Childs and McReady are still barely alive. They are rescued and taken back to civilization. After much lying about the events that occurred at the base, they are allowed to go back into the unknowing world. Now, The Thing has learned a lesson in Antarctica. It is much more cautious about how it absorbs people now. The people of the world are not ready for it, and it knows that it must go about its mission carefully. It wants to offer the world its communion, but it no longer attempts to blindly absorb them. It forms a plot and a plan. We see the rise of The Thing through McReady and Childs. We watch as it learns the ways of the world and of our political hierarchies. It begins to infiltrate key government organizations, rich industrialists, and multinational corporations. And over time, it begins to control the economy of the entire world and all of its important people. Prolonged exposure to the world and human genetic structure causes the Thing's form to change. It is forced to develop tactics to stay hidden and continue its reign over the human race. Our movie ends with a drifter getting off a train. He's looking for work, and through a series of bumbles and mistakes, he comes in contact with a very special pair of sunglasses, a pair that lets him see the things as they seem to be. It's Roddy Piper, and he can see that these things live. They live.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Fuck that. I love Adam, but that is some circular bullshit right there.
I think it's genius. If I was watching that version of The Thing, like they made it after they lived, we'd be like, holy shit! Like, the whole movie could suck, and he'd be like, oh, well, it's all better now.
I don't know, maybe. God damn it, Adam.
I know that the one that I always thought like deserved more of a story, or just basically a retelling. Because I've said this before, if I could remake any movie, Popcorn.
That was gonna be on my list too.
Popcorn all day, every day. Has anyone ever seen this movie, Popcorn? It was fucking low budget. It was a slasher movie, like right at the end of the slasher franchise.
It was right before. It was right when everything went dead in the early '90s.
Yeah, it was 91. 91 was when it came out.
And then we had to wait until Scream to reboot.
It's a movie about a group of college film students that are trying to save their film organization because there's only like 6 of them in the class, and they're like, look, unless we have money to pay for equipment, like we're gonna fucking die out. So they're like, let's do an all-night movie marathon. And he's like, all right. So they refurbish this theater,
and they're going to show basically like all William Castle style movies. And it's like, we're going to do all the gimmick movies. So this one's going to be in 3D, and this one's going to be in Shockovision, and this one's going to be in Smellorama. And like people are going to come out because they want to see the gimmick the way that you can only see it live. You can't experience it on television. And while doing this, they find this weird like old film that's just a guy staring at the camera, just like saying random phrases. And he's like, I heard about this guy, the psychopath, fucking, did this movie and people hated it. So he did a sequel where after it was over, the curtain raised up and his family was tied up in chairs and he burnt the theater down and killed everybody in the theater. He's like, well, whatever, he's a crack. We should show this movie at the festival. So throughout the rest of the movie, people are being killed off one by one through the gimmicks of the movie. Like someone's choked by they put like poison in the smelling salt, and like
the person gets electrocuted.
Someone gets electrocuted during the Shockovision scene, and it's like all this stuff's happening, and people who die keep coming back. And you're like, how the fuck?
You see them die, and then you see them walking around. You're like,
yeah, how'd that happen? So you eventually find out that like the one of the guys in the class is the son of the guy who burned down the theater, and he's horribly disfigured, so he learns how to make masks of people's faces. So when he kills them, he makes a mask of them and then just like walks around unnoticed amongst everyone.
Which makes total sense that he'd be able to mimic their body proportions as well.
Yeah, it's cool. And then, oh man, we should talk about how Face Off doesn't make any sense, because how the fuck did Nicolas Cage get so goddamn fat? Yeah. But so...
no, how did
John Travolta lose so much weight?
Yeah, there we go.
So, and then you find out that the main female character is also his sister, and she survived the fire, and it gets kind of crazy and ridiculous. But what I would love to do is remake that movie where you have like three other directors working with you, and each one's job is to just do one of the movies that's being screened in that theater. But do it like covering decades. Like they watch like an 80s slasher movie, and they watch like a 90s self-aware movie, and like a 70s grindhouse movie, and just let them go fucking hog wild, because the movie's very funny.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, and in the original Popcorn, the movies that they watch, I mean, you watch too, and you watch basically like 20 minutes.
You watch like 15 to 20 minutes of each movie.
Yeah,
it's really, and that's the best part of the movie.
And they're all in like black and white.
Yeah, it's very Chillerama-esque.
Definitely saw this movie and was like, we should do that too, except it had a wraparound story. Yeah. Chillerama's great, but I mean, Popcorn is definitely the spiritual
successor.
Father.
Father. The other one that I would love to see more films with, because I think it was an awesome, and you know what I'm about to say, because I talk about it all the time on the show, but fucking Dr. Giggles. I would love to know, Dr. Giggles was funny. It was like, had cool death.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, you've got to see Dr. We're watching that tonight.
Oh, God. I have to watch. I have to hang out with him after the
props all up in his waiting room.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. It's so funny, and like his little...
It's got Doug E. Doug in it.
Yes. And Larry Drake is Dr. Giggles. Like, Larry Drake's the shit. He's the
I know my face.
I was going to say, he's the villain from Darkman.
Yeah.
I thought he was in all the first one.
No, he was Durant from Darkman.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said the third or something like that. I'm like, no, he's in all of them.
I want to see a prequel to Event Horizon.
Okay.
Because I want to see more of the Hell Dimension.
Yeah.
I know that people bitch about it. They're like, there's nothing.
Adam hates it.
Man.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I think it's great. I just spit all for myself.
Lawrence Fishburne and
Sam Neill from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Where they go out of space.
Time
warp.
Right there.
Yeah.
Freaking Event Horizon in the Mouth of Madness.
Warp Drive or something.
I like the Mouth of Madness a lot.
I would love to see either a prequel or a sequel of that. Like
In the Mouth of Madness?
In the Mouth of Madness, like Samuel actually starting to turn people or something.
I don't know. I feel like that movie is kind of a clusterfuck. It has a lot of things going on, and I don't think it really has a pure direction for what it's trying to say.
I will agree with you in the sense that I think that In the Mouth of Madness is way more about visual presentation than story presentation.
They just wanted to show all the monstrosities.
Awesome.
They look great, but it's definitely... I mean, it has...
Event Horizon is Hellraiser in outer space. That's like the best way to describe it.
It's actually a much better Hellraiser Bloodline.
Yeah.
So if you've seen Hellraiser Bloodline...
And I love
Bloodline is my second favorite. Don't hate me.
I don't. I like it too.
I just like corsets. What? Fuck you. I hate that one.
Every time you're like, I love Bloodline, I always thought you were talking about the detective one.
No, that one is fucking garbage. No.
You ever see Cut?
No.
Molly Ringwald post like 16 Candles, all that stuff.
Okay.
Oh, I'll watch
It's like
that.
this slasher. I think it was like 90s, 2000s. It's like this college thing, and they're making this movie, and the guy's like a killer or whatever. And the thing is, the killer actually lives on through the movies.
Okay. I could be okay with
It sounds like
No,
Like
but
the
the ending
screen-
is such a crazy mindfuck because they actually released the movie,
Yeah.
and they show the killer with like a smirk, and it ends like that. You're just like,
it was like The Ring Before the Ring, or
Yeah.
Ju-on.
Okay. No, it's a movie that I watched that was actually.
Wait, I haven't gotten to say why I want to do that.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Go.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up because I like
the
Molly Ringwald.
cut is like, and Molly Ringwald's actually good at it.
She's not a bad actress. She's
Just
bad
makes some
in-
bad choices.
Yeah, and a lot of bad choices. But Event Horizon would be great as a prequel because then it would be more like they could talk. They could basically have them go through it. I mean, I think maybe it would ruin the whole point of the movie though because
Wouldn't that just
they.
be Dead Space?
Okay, what the fucking twist my arm.
Video game Dead Space.
Right, and that would be awesome as a movie. I don't even play video games, but I mean, I've watched enough videos of how Dead Space playback or playthroughs are, and I would totally watch that. I just think that maybe it's because I felt like I was wanting so much more from the Hell Dimension, and I really was disappointed by Sam Neill afterwards. Who gives a shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I was so into the Hell Dimension scenes of that movie that like I got to the point where I was like fucking pausing it and doing like this step by step so you can see all the fucked up shit that happens in that like and it's just 15 seconds of just like like it just shows you all these images.
but it sticks in your back of your brain. You know what you just saw. You're just like, oh fuck.
Well, it's like did you ever do? There's a scene in the Twilight Zone movie where they do the airplane sequence with John Lithgow.
Yeah.
There's a scene where his eyeballs explode.
What?
It's for half of a second.
I've never seen that.
You have to click through it, but it's when he lifts up the blinder and the alien's like staring at him from the window. It does a zoom in on his face and his eyeballs explode for just like a split second, and you have to do the slow thing. But the guy who did that segment did Mad Max, and that exact same thing is in Mad Max. When a guy's about to get hit by a truck, his eyeballs explode in Mad Max.
That's a really weird thing to have.
Yeah, like a little trademark that you just keep fucking.
Hey, I'm the eyes that blow up
I'm the
guy.
eyes that blow up that you can't see when you watch the movie. It's just like hidden in there.
I know you told me earlier, but Killer Clowns Survivor.
Yeah, they've been working on a sequel that's going to be in 3D. Which I mean, if there's ever a movie that deserves some 3D, I'm going.
I'm really worried that this is way too little, too late. I mean, it'd be really hard to hit the cult status, to even get close to how much cult status that movie has.
I think that I would be of the thought process that I think the movie would be good, but I don't think that anyone's going to put money towards it because it's not going to make back its budget. I think that the fan base for Killer Clowns is too small now.
I think though that with Stitches and Clown, that you could ride that wave in the next year or two.
And the two Things remakes that are coming out. Did you know they're doing that as a two-parter?
I didn't know anything about this. Probably don't want to know anything.
Yeah,
about
they're doing a theatric release of it.
Yeah.
But
It.
Did I say the
I thought you
Thing?
said
I'm
The Thing.
stumbling. I probably did the Thing.
Yeah, it will be awesome.
And doing it as two separate movies is exactly the way that
They
you should.
definitely have to.
Closer to the book.
I don't know.
Well, if they're doing it as two,
I remember reading the book in like second or third grade, and it was really good.
and that's why you're here right now.
I've still
Wait,
never
sorry,
read that book.
But you were what?
But the book was a lot better than the movie.
Well, okay, so the movie was a TV miniseries.
Yeah, it was a TV miniseries, so
And-
that also limited that.
Like
Yeah.
read for VHS.
Yeah, oh yeah, but the book is very adult. It's also some of the more risque shit that Stephen King wrote, because I read everything from his first book up until probably like Rose Madder and Insomnia, because I was obsessed with him when I was in junior high and beginning of high school, and I read it, and I was really, really, really disturbed by it, because there's like kid orgy, kid gay sex, flying leeches, there's so many kid deaths in fucking terrible ways. Like, it is a really dark book. I'm sure they won't put that into the movie, but they'll have to have something about the ritual of Chud, I think. If they're going to be doing something where he actually goes into that alternate space where its true form is, and then they have like some sort of mental duel, they can do that with a budget now, but I don't think that they're going to be able to have
They could.
all the kid sex and
People have been pushing things a lot farther.
I don't. I mean, okay, yeah, they're pushing stuff for adults, but every other day somebody's like, think of the children. We don't want to have kids sending nudes on Snapchat, so we can't. I doubt we're going to have an It movie that's going to be truly fair to the book. But so I mean, it would be nice.
I'm
but
waiting for a Cell movie.
Wait, which one? Cell? Oh, yeah, they've been trying to work on that for a while.
We don't need another zombie movie. We've got so many zombie movies.
I liked it before the big zombie thing.
No, but I'm saying, like, we don't need a movie based on that book. Like,
Cell might need to sit.
Cell has already been done. It's called Pontypool.
Yeah, when Pontypool. So have you seen Pontypool?
You should
see Pontypool. That's your Cell movie.
It's a good like representation of what
Ponty. Okay, because Otis is fucking good. I would watch more Otis.
Isn't that from like 1993 or something like that?
No.
Otis? Okay, I'll have to.
Daniel Stern was, I don't know if he directed it as well,
Nice.
but he's in it.
Didn't Otis the Doc in the movie?
I can't.
Don't tell me. I haven't seen it yet.
I can't remember honestly, but I remember having a well. My enjoyment of Otis was very different because I have a friend who looks exactly like Otis and he's super creepy. So I thought it was a documentary that I was watching throughout the whole movie. But
There's not enough of this type of horror.
yeah, no, Pontypool you would really, really like. Pontypool was written to be a radio show. It wasn't even written to be a movie. And it's just about a guy in a radio station who keeps getting all these weird phone calls of people that are speaking incoherently, and they're claiming that there's people in the streets eating each other's faces. And what they find out is that there is a zombie virus that's spread through sound. And when it affects your brain, you start babbling nonsense. And if people hear you babbling nonsense, it affects your brain, and you're trying so hard to figure out what they're trying to say that your brain just kind of rots and you become a mindless zombie as well.
Night of the Comets
Yeah. Oh, Night of the
Which is a great film. And if you don't like Pontypool, you can cleanse your mind with The Signal, which is kind of a more literal interpretation where people see this signal on TV and then they become kind of murderous. Like, they're not zombies, they're just homicidal maniacs, right, Matt?
Yeah, sorry. Cancellation.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
There's this one movie, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It came out a couple of years ago. It has clowns in it that are like mutated.
Clouds?
Clowns, mutated clowns.
Mutated clowns.
Are you sure it wasn't Killer Clowns Mars? Because they're pretty mutated looking.
Yeah, I don't.
This one came out a couple of years ago. I think Tim Curry's in it. It's like some big name actors in it.
I don't know. I don't really. Clowns don't really scare me, so I don't really watch.
That was the whole story about the mutated clowns, or that was just like a part of it?
That was a part of it. Like kids go to this abandoned amusement park to explore it.
It sounds
Why
like.
does that sound familiar?
Sounds like
Clown House.
Clown House, maybe, or I mean, there's Fun House. There's
It sounds
probably
like
Clown
it
House.
doesn't sound like it was the whole movie. It sounds like it was one of those.
like a
Ghoulies, the one Ghoulies.
Ghoulies 2 is fantastic. The one that's at the carnival.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Ghoulies 2?
I still have not seen any of the Ghoulies. I saw the first Ghoulies.
Yeah, no, you don't. It's
No, I want to see
boring as
Ghoulies 2
shit.
and 3. Actually,
Ghoulies 2 is fantastic.
Watch Ghoulies 2 tonight.
I just watched it last week. I'll fucking
I know
watch
you
it
will.
again.
I think that we should have a sequel to Session 9.
I could be okay with that.
Because I think that if you write it where it's still not
This is the freakiest thing I've ever seen. It's gone.
Oh, that wolf face thing?
Yeah, but it just was staring at me through the glass like we locked eyes.
But a Session 9 sequel would be great because they could have some like looter gets the tapes, and listening to the tapes basically makes you crazy.
Yeah.
And it could be like the Cell or Pontypool, where it's like it's a demon that basically just only lives through sound waves, or it can just be like something that makes you crazy through sound waves.
Session 9 is one of those movies, and I say this a lot on like the podcast because I think it's a very important thing. Session 9 is a movie that it is all about the speaker setup for when you watch that movie.
Yeah, it's not creepy.
If you've watched Session 9, you're like, oh, that wasn't that good. And you're like, well, I watched it on a laptop. That's why it's not good.
Watch it with surround sound.
You have to watch it with surround sound because while the movie plays out the same, when it's in surround sound, you just hear whispering going on all around you for the entire hour and a half, and it is the most chilling, weird experience.
Yeah. Because that was the second time I watched it. I watched it with nice headphones.
Yeah, or if you're watching on the laptop, put headphones
don't
on.
Put earbuds in there. That's not going to do
yeah,
shit.
it's got to be like the fucking Beats by Dre.
We'll be
$100.
we'll be expecting that.
I just the name of the movie.
Oh, what was it?
Ginger Clown.
Ginger Clown. I never even heard of it, but I'll check that.
Yeah, that sounds garbage.
Got a weird British director and producer. So.
Okay. Ginger Clown. I mean, I'll watch anything.
I know you will. But I probably
My time is not valuable.
Yeah. What about a sequel to Teeth, where she's like a hardened murderer? Well, it's supposed to be One/Wonders.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm trying to get it back to like more like serial killer movies.
So I'll tell you a serial killer movie, and you couldn't do a sequel because I mean, not only do they kill the killer in this movie, they kill him in a glorious way. But it's probably one of the best slasher movies of the '80s, and it never got a sequel. It never got a sequel because of how they kill him. But The Prowler.
Oh, The Prowler's so good. They could do a Town of the Dreaded Sundown kind of thing.
Yeah, where it's okay because I still haven't seen the remake, but you said that the remake of Town of the Dreaded Sundown is fantastic.
So good. It takes all the good shit from the original and just expounds upon
the trombone death.
There's a trombone death in it. Yep.
Was that a sequel to Maniac?
Yeah, it's by Elijah Wood's in it.
Yeah, the Elijah
awesome.
Wood remake. Yeah, I know.
I was kidding.
Dude, that remake though.
Yeah.
That is one of the best
horror remakes ever.
I think I would say that and the Fright Night remake.
Yeah,
are like
actually,
right up there.
we watched the original Fright Night for the horror.
Don't forget that.
Well, is
That's
that
not
a
a
remake?
remake.
I mean, that's more of an homage than a remake.
No, a straight remake. A straight remake of Fright Night. With the what is it? So we had to.
We
watch
need a
original.
good sequel to the remake of Fright Night. Not
I don't know if we do. I honestly don't know if we do. But the remake of Fright Night with Colin Farrell in it. I watched it because we had to watch the original for
Fright
the
Night.
horror club a couple weeks, maybe a couple months ago now, and goddamn, is it good?
Yeah.
It is awesome. It's got McLovin in it. It's
the kid from Charlie Bartlett, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
The Star Trek movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good remake, and it's one of the few things that like it did something so different with the original movie.
It updated it very well.
updated it super well, and it added, like I said, the whole. Who hasn't seen the remake of Fright Night? Is there anyone? Okay, so. The remake of Fright Night proposes this idea that is so brilliant that I can't believe it took us this long to figure it out with
there have been
vampire
other movies that have tried this idea, and it just it's so simple.
They put the vampires in Las Vegas. And their whole reason is like, it is the one city in America where it's perfectly normal to sleep all day and be out all night, and people disappear all the time and no one questions it. And it's like, why did it take us 50-something years to realize that is like the best spot for a vampire to hide out?
I don't know.
They can be the dealers at the casino.
Yeah, like it's like yeah.
Or they could be the dancers at the casino. That's really where they probably get most of their people.
Probably, yeah. Because that's where the sleazy people go that you don't really notice when they're gone.
Could we get a modern sequel to the Monster Squad with all the original cast?
Okay. Here's
that are all adults. They're all my age now.
Here's
and they have kids probably. Oh, that would be fucking awesome.
Did I ever tell you my idea for the only way that I would accept someone remaking Monster Squad? Because there's one way that you can do it that I would be 110% on board. You get the guy who did Paranorman and you have him do it as a claymation movie.
No. Nope. I want it as an actual live action. Paranorman was genius.
Paranorman's one of the best animated films that's ever been made.
I would have to agree. It's just so good. It's up there with The Incredibles.
Yeah.
But no, I think that you need to have it be live action. And if you have it as the kids of the original Monster Squad, and the parents are like, fuck all this over again, you know, but then you wouldn't have the original like 50s monsters. You'd have 80s monsters.
Like Jason and Michael Myers
Yes,
and Freddy.
who would that be?
Okay, you sold me. I will watch the Monster Squad
The amount of
2
weight
Electric
that would
Boogaloo.
What about I know they remade The Blob in the 80s.
Dude, that remake is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's so gory and disgusting.
And Rob Zombie keeps talking about
well
remake.
before she did Saw. She looks exactly the same.
Wait, who?
Who's the girl in the Saw movies?
I don't know. I very rarely paid attention to those movies.
Yeah, I don't really like
I
Saw.
clocked. I do not do torture porn.
I did the first two and I was done with it.
No. Oh, I was agreeing with you throughout most of this panel, but that is where the
we just became
disagreement.
enemies.
Nah, the Saw movies. I didn't like the first one, so I didn't really like
I watched
the
the
other
first two.
9 of them.
Hey, what about a little Shop sequel?
Still musical.
Could they end with the original ending this time?
But then they could have a gritty, like, the world is now controlled by the Audrey 2s.
By the Audrey 2s.
And then they've got this group of hardened people that have lived through the takeover. And then they have to sing their way to destroying all the Audrey 2s.
And they're led by Bill Murray and Steve.
No, they're all dead.
No,
everybody in the original dies.
You think Bill Murray survived through the Audrey 2 invasion? I mean, he probably would have enjoyed being eaten. Because he was a masochist, but
Zombieland.
yeah, oh, that's true. He did. He survived the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, but he
He got shot.
he sort of survived.
He mostly survived.
Oh, you killed Bill Murray.
Has anyone actually seen it? Like, I think most people know about this, but just in case, does anyone know about the original ending of Little Shop of Horrors?
Oh yeah, you might want to explain it
It's
to
on
him.
Netflix.
Yeah, you can watch it on Netflix. Okay, so if you've ever seen the stage show, this is how the stage show ends. And on the newest DVD Blu-ray release, you can now watch this ending, and it's gorgeous. It's incredible.
Oh, I haven't seen the redone. I've seen it pieced together.
No, they redid it. They digitally updated everything. So Audrey, so if you remember in Little Shop of Horrors, there's a scene where Rick Moranis runs in and Audrey is in the plant's mouth and he pulls her out and they go up on the rooftop and he confesses everything and she's like, well, just kill the plant and we'll run away. And then like Jim Belushi pops up and he's like, hey, you know, you could take some clippings from this and make millions of dollars and there could be an Audrey 2 in everyone's house. And he's like, no, we can't do that. And that's when Rick Moranis goes in and kills the plant. In the original movie,
In the play,
Audrey dies. Like the bite wounds are too deep. She bleeds out, and she's like, "Look, you deserve to be happy. Feed me to the plant, and you know, become super rich." And he's like, "Okay." And he puts her into the plant's mouth, and then he's like so distraught that he fights Audrey 2, like in the movie. Like they still do the Mean Green Mother from Outer Space. But when Audrey 2 pulls all the fucking pillars out, and the place crumbles down on Rick Moranis, he pulls Rick Moranis out and swallows him. And it's just like, oh shit, like he's dead. Like that's the end.
But Audrey's still alive.
And then the credits fade out, and then it just fades back in, and it's like this commercial for like buying Audrey 2 plants, and they're like, oh, and everyone's all excited, and everyone has them in their house, and then like the music starts to get more and more intense, and then it's hundreds of Audrey 2 plants climbing on houses, eating people in the houses, tearing the place apart, and there's a song called "Don't Feed the Plants," and it's just this like it was this. It was millions of dollars that invested into doing this giant thing of all these giant plants, and then they showed the test audience and they're like, no, we don't like it. Yeah. So they had to like quickly paste together like a happy ending where like, and he blew up and Rick Moranis and Audrey got married. So everything's cool now, I guess.
And you've said this before when we talked about Little Shop, that the Somewhere That's Green reprise is in that, right?
Yeah, which is the saddest thing ever.
Because she's saying, I want to be somewhere that's green, like inside of a plant.
Inside of a plant, yeah. Like, when you watch that whole movie and you know that ending, the songs Downtown and Somewhere That's Green are the saddest things in the world. And I think that's... I like a good tragic ending to a movie.
You certainly do.
Yes, I do. How about some more alligator movies?
We already had Alligator 2, and I don't think we need to try.
Yeah, no, Alligator 2: The Mutation was pretty garbage, but I would take another alligator movie that was done well.
I don't think that Killer
Crocs aren't really.
They did Primeval back
Lake
in like
Placid
2000. Yeah, Lake Placid was in the 90s, and then
and they have
Primeval
4 fucking Lake Placid movies.
See, I just don't think...
Now, there's a movie that doesn't need sequels.
That's the thing. I think that all the giant monster or giant angry animal movies like Sharknado and all that bullshit.
What, you didn't...
Spider 2.
Yeah, what, you didn't think that Jaws the Revenge was just as good as Jaws?
I just think that people wouldn't take an alligator movie seriously at all, and you have to have a little bit of
thanks a bunch of sci-fi.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't...
Did I ever tell you about the movie that I wanted to write for sci-fi?
No.
Shockodile versus the pterodactyl.
You know they'd buy that.
No. I even had one line of dialogue. I hadn't written anything else, but the one line of dialogue was from the scientist who accidentally created the Shockodile.
Shockodile.
Which was, all I wanted to do was create a crocodile that could power the entire New York City. How could I know it would go so terribly wrong?
Right there.
No, I think that's giving too much away. That's
true.
Because the idea is like, what's more terrifying than a crocodile? A crocodile that can electrocute you too.
It's a double whammy.
In the water.
I know it's not technically a horror movie, but Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, they're doing a
sequel. Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
Yeah, and now they're doing a sequel for real, which I'm kind of excited for because I love Beetlejuice. But
it can't be good.
The only reason I'm interested is that everyone's coming back except for obviously Jeffrey Jones because he's pretty much his career's done forever. But Mr. Dietz is not doing too well.
Can't really work from prison.
Otho ain't coming back.
Yeah, he's dead. That's so sad. Otho was the shit in that movie too. I actually, from what I've read about what Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii would be, which sounds like such a joke, like that can't be real. But it sounded like not a terrible idea. Like it was like the Dietzes go on a Hawaiian trip. And they accidentally unleash this like evil, and they're like, "Shit! The only ghost that can actually go up against this fucking thing is Beetlejuice."
Well, I just want to see a Tim Burton version of Hawaii.
Tim Burton. That's very good point.
Is just
Gothic Honolulu.
No. Take the allotment that shows up in Edward Scissorhand and put palm trees in it, and that's exactly.
What about like any sequels to foreign films like High Tension?
See, I was thinking about High Tension. I don't think that High Tension would work because it's that twist. And, I really liked that movie when I first saw it.
Inside?
Inside, I don't know. I don't ever want to experience another
a sequel to Inside.
One of the most fucked up movies you've like ever seen.
The Inside was already one of the most fucked up movies I've ever seen.
I'm saying the ending when her face burned off and she's raising the kid.
Oh fuck.
Well, there's a movie that is an Austrian film called Goodnight Mommy, I think, and it's new. It just is on the European festival circuit right now. There's no way to get to it, which sucks. But it's these two young boys, and their mom comes back from some sort of facial reconstruction surgery, and they're not sure that she's really her, that she's really their mom. And I feel like that might delve into what you would kind of feel from an Inside remake or an Inside sequel. But I hate the French Extreme. I hate the new French Extreme. I don't think that we need movies that are ultra realistic. Matt and I discuss this all the time on the podcast.
I will say that the thing that most people hate about us on the podcast is we like our horror with a nice little dose of lighthearted good times.
I don't want to see shit that you would see in the news.
I told before I loved Inside.
I think that I don't think that it's a bad movie. I think it's a very well made movie, and it gets the point across that it wants to get, and it makes you feel the way it wants you to make you feel.
Same thing.
But at the end,
for the movie with the 15-minute rape scene, like
you don't want to like revisit it. You don't really. Want
somebody that wants to watch Inside on a regular basis is not somebody that I would be like, I agree with you on like an Inside remake or an Inside sequel.
Because I feel like there's because I know you can't deal with movies that have like graphic extended rape scenes, and there's been a ton of them that
a normal fucking person shouldn't have that.
No, not in it.
We're talking about
like the Last House on the Left remake.
Last House on the Left, and I Spit on Your Grave. Did you see the remake? Oh my god!
Wait, which one?
Spit on Your Grave.
No, him.
I like so much violence in a movie that I shed a tear. I always wanted there to be a movie that, like, technically it's drama and it's like horrible things happening, but there's a horror element in it.
Should he see Taxidermy yet?
Yes, you should. Actually, Taxidermy would be right up your alley. It's really, really absurd, though.
Taxidermy was what's the flaming dick?
No. What's the fucking country that made it?
Oh shit! I'll look that up. Wait.
American Mary's like that. American Mary's like a drama horror.
Yeah, no. Or see American Mary. American Mary is a fantastic movie. I don't think you should do a sequel, but I like American Mary.
I thought you were going to do a sequel to American Mary.
That's the problem is that you can't really do a sequel unless you have it that the club is still around and then they still need somebody to do all the fucking body mod. Yeah, but what would you?
I thought American Mary was boring.
Really? That's the thing is it's not. If you go into it for a slasher, it's not. The Soska sisters wanted to do something that was very female centric, and because they had done They
Dead Hooker in a Trunk.
Yeah, Dead Hooker in a Trunk, which is kind of like satirical. I haven't watched.
It was from Hungary.
That's right. Okay, we'll get back to taxidermy in a second, but American Mary is more kind of like it's them discussing the implications of what they've had to do and all the shit they've had to shovel in Hollywood to get a movie made. And so if you watch it from like that very feminist perspective, you get a much different viewing of it, and it's just awful shit, but everybody fucking deserves it. So it actually is. It does follow the slasher. Right. It's like watching a slasher movie from the slasher's point of view and empathizing with the slasher, because at the end they fucking die.
Yeah.
I mean, not by a hero, but by somebody else. They fucking die.
And we've you and I also have like our own little personal things with that movie too that we discussed earlier today about like knowing people who do suspensions and do like that weird shit, and it's just like I can't get into, like, I have a handful
That's
of friends.
why that movie makes you
that's when that movie that movie really fucks with me, because I've had friends that are like all about fucking putting giant hooks in their back, and like the last time I saw one of my best friends was 5 years ago, because the moment when I was like, I can't be friends with you anymore. And it wasn't like me, like, it was just like, we have nothing in common anymore. Right. Was that he came to a Halloween party. And as you know, if you grow up in this area, it's give or take. Sometimes our Octobers are like kind of cold, and other times it feels like summer. Right. This was a particular Halloween where it felt like summer. And he's walking around with jean pants on, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? It's like 70 out there. He goes, I did a suspension for my kneecaps and they ripped open and tore straight out. I'm like, what is wrong? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you still doing this to yourself? And he's still like, that was 5 years ago. He texted me today. He's like, hey, I'm going to be in town doing suspensions if you want to come check it out. And I was like, a hard no.
No, yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so Taxidermia.
Okay, so Taxidermia is this movie that took the entire fucking budget, all the film budget for Hungary for 2013?
It cost them $2.2 million to make. Hungary basically finances for one movie a year.
Yeah.
That's all they have output for is one movie.
It was the only movie that Hungary had in 2013, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it is so strange. It follows this family of championship competitive eaters.
Yeah.
And then the son of the grandson or whatever from the first person in the movie, because it follows like
three different generations.
Yeah, it starts in the 40s, and there's one in the 80s, and then there's the
one in modern day.
And it's all in the Soviet Union, and the kid now is fucking skinny. And so his dad's like, "You're a fucking disgrace, blah blah," but he likes to do taxidermy, and it is very strange. I don't actually know what the point of the fucking movie is.
The best part about this, so our buddy Adam,
it's drama plus horror.
For the first like 2 years for the first year of Horror Club, I was doing the show, and my co-host was my friend Miguel from San Diego, and then Miguel couldn't he couldn't commit to it anymore, and Scott was like, "I'll take over."
No, he offered it to me. I was chomping at the bit to do it, but I wasn't going to ask.
So Scott stepped up and he started co-hosting, and we co-hosted together for 2 years. Taxidermy is the reason why we have our third co-host, Adam, and it's all because of one moment, which was that he picked the movie. Every person on the club gets to pick a movie as long as they participate in discussion. We're like, you get to pick this week's movie. So he's like, I want us to watch Taxidermy, and we always open the door and say like, hey, if you picked a movie, you can come on the show and explain to us why you picked the movie. And so we watched this fucking movie, and it's got like simulated
tons of vomiting,
tons
real
of
vomiting,
real vomit, real sex. The guy sticks a fucking like firecracker in his dick and lights it. Like, it's like the most crazy shit I've ever seen in a movie, and I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, so we finally get to record.
It's gruesome in a non-slasher way.
And it's so we get to record this episode. Our buddy from Canada, Adam, clicks in, and I'm like, all right. And you can hear it in the beginning of the episode. Like, I'm a defeated man as we're starting this episode. And I'm like, all right, guys, welcome to an episode of the Red Horror Club. Today's movie is Taxidermia, as picked by Adam. Adam, why do you like Taxidermia? And he goes, hey, I never said I liked this movie. He goes, I just wanted to make you fuckers watch it. And we're like, this is the new co-host. This guy is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It is a shame that he's not here.
Yeah, he's quite the character.
This man has written him a theme song because he always takes notes while watching the movie, and then will just read his notes to us. And the notes make no sense if you haven't seen the movie, because it's literally just like it's what was going
Stream of
through
consciousness.
Yeah, it's like a stream of consciousness of like this is what was going through my head when I watched this. And my favorite thing is every single one of his notes. At some point, he just directly quotes the movie and then goes, "You fucking kidding me?" The highlight of him doing notes is a movie that we could probably discuss. It doesn't deserve a sequel, but I'd watch one. Hausu.
Oh my god! You mean the sequel to Jaws? It was a sequel to Jaws, by the way.
Death by piano.
Yes.
No. Headless, disembodied head biting your ass. Fucking kung fu kicking.
You so cool, kung fu.
Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl.
I've watched that and it's fantastic.
I'll watch it.
Oh, it's fucking good.
Tokyo Gore Police, the same guys who made that.
Yeah.
That movie is unwatchable too, by the way. It's not a movie. It's like a music video that's 2 hours long.
So the other moment, I think this was the moment when I decided that Adam was the most brilliant person that I had ever encountered. Was
thanks, Dick.
Yep. Instead of doing notes like he normally would, he wrote a short story because he went and saw Hausu in the theater. So he was like,
it was a
art house, like an art house screening of Hausu.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be screening like 2 weeks before we were supposed to discuss it. And he's like, I'm going to see this bad boy in the big screen. I've never seen this before. And I've memorized the first two sentences of his short story. His short story starts off with, "The evening began watching VH1's countdown of the greatest songs of the 90s. As En Vogue was telling me about their love and how I was never going to get it, I prepared myself to go see Hausu." He's like, an online review said in big letters, "Don't watch this movie stoned."
I told my
I was going to see this movie with my best friend, and being the good friend that I am, I told him to get good and ripped.
He shows up and his pupils look like two piss holes in the snow. I realize I'm a terrible person. I've listened to it enough times to quote it too.
It's so, that fucking En Vogue line, I missed the first time when he said it, and when I was re-listening and editing it, I'm like, that's the best opening to a story ever. But yeah, if you like some crazy shit, this isn't like violent and super realistic gore, but if you like something that makes you go, oh well, he's just crazy, you can watch Hausu.
Yeah, 1977 House.
Yeah, it's Hausu or
Criterion film.
Yeah, it's a fucking Criterion film.
Why?
Yeah, but as Scott pointed out when we were doing research to do that episode, we found out that it was intended to be the Japanese version of Jaws. They were like, we wanted to do something as intense as Jaws, and they made Hausu, about a bunch of Asian schoolgirls in a haunted house that causes a piano to eat people.
So weird.
The best part, but the best part about it, I think, might be the fact that, well, it's a tie between the one girl's butt. She's got a really nice butt, and she doesn't get naked. Everybody else gets naked except for her and the girl who is supposedly the fat one.
Yeah,
and she's not fat.
She's super skinny. She's like Tum Tum and Three Ninjas.
I wanted to mention that too, but yeah.
Some of the death scenes are just like, they're not even like, it looks like they're taking place like, it's so weird. It's like rainbow colors and all this crazy shit.
It's amazing. Somebody gets pulled into a clock.
Yes.
It's like Japan.
Only in Japan.
Yeah, it's literally a movie that makes you go only in Japan or only in
I was watching this movie, I'm like, is this like the Japanese version of like Marilyn Manson's Dope Hat video?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. That is the best way to describe that, because that video fucked me up as a kid.
Yeah,
that was. Do you remember that video? It was the video that was all. It was just him doing the boat ride scene from Willy Wonka.
Oh yeah.
It's so fucked up that MTV had to put it on after midnight.
Yeah, it was one of their after midnight videos. Because there was like scenes of them like cracking open an egg and a human eyeball falls out of it, and it's like, what is this?
Penguins hanging in nooses in the background.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so fucking good. That was when I liked Marilyn Manson.
So that was what, yesterday?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You've seen my music collection.
Me like, ooh,
well, that was
pretty good. No.
When I went to pull up my iTunes, so this is literally the first time Scott and I have ever met each other in person. Was this weekend. And I was like, oh, let me play you a song. And like, I opened my iTunes, and the first thing that says was,
stop looking at it. Just answer.
Sorry.
We have 10 minutes. Just finish.
Sorry. he opens his my laptop, and the first thing he sees is that I have Papa Roach.
Yeah.
He goes, I feel like I would really have a lot of fun making fun of your iTunes.
Well, I mean, like, Matt always posts, like, every day he'll post on Facebook
a 90s song
of the day. And sometimes they're wonderful, and most of the time they're fucking garbage, because the 90s really was...
It was a hit or miss decade.
Oh, it's real bad. There's a lot of bad.
It was mostly miss. It was a lot of miss.
A lot of miss, especially after '96.
Well, most of the misses that he puts up are from 1991 and 1994. He'll put up, like, just awful.
And Loving, you're loving how you're never going to
that
get...
Kathy Dennis song?
No. Today was 311, all mixed up.
Yeah, I saw that right before we left out. I went out the door. I'm like, that's actually pretty solid. You should have put you should put a Hive on if you're gonna do a 311 song, because man,
Hive was a great song.
I could probably sing. I could rap. I hate rap, but I could rap the 311 self-titled from start to finish, probably without help from the CD. That just shows you what I was doing in 1996, like just listening to Smashing Pumpkins. I was fucking 12. But
so
yeah,
Pot.
the first time I ever saw Pot was I went to a party. I didn't drink in high school or anything like that, and so I went to a friend's party, and everybody was getting drunk, and I was like just hanging out like a fucking weirdo. Because I was like, oh, DD, but I'll also talk to these girls that I think are cute. Like a total creep move on my part. Not knowing that I was being creepy. But then this one guy, this fucking football player, comes out. He pulls out a bag. He, like, flips it out. Just like you'd never believe that this was real life. And he goes, who wants to smoke some weed? It looked like grass to me. I'm like, this is not real life. And that story just went over his head. So.
Sorry, I listened to it. But, so my fucked up real quick, because we're about done, and we completely detracted from the original conversation, but that's all right. My fucked up thing that I used to do in college at parties, because like I said, college was right when I started to get into trauma, was since I didn't drink, I needed to bring something for my own entertainment. Yeah. So I would bring a trauma movie, and I would have this fun game where I'd put the movie on without saying anything and just sit on the couch and watch as people like slowly were like, what the fuck are we watching? Yeah. And the best one to do that with, because it's so fucking weird, is goddamn Blood-Sucking Freaks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that movie is 90% like 70s nudity.
Oh, it's so much exploitation in that movie.
So it's just like, I mean, there's literally a scene, and there's like, okay, so fun story. So the people who like torture porn,
watch Blood-Sucking Freaks.
You should see Blood-Sucking Freaks. The commentary track for Blood-Sucking Freaks is done by Eli Roth. And he talks about how Blood-Sucking Freaks is what inspired him to write Hostel. Was that he was like, I wanted to make a new version of Blood-Sucking Freaks. There's a scene in Blood. It's about a man and his midget, and how they kidnap white women and sell them into slavery. But he also trains them to be cannibals, and he'll also kill them on stage because he does like a live murder show, and everyone thinks that it's like really good actresses.
It's like the Wizard of Gore.
Yeah, it's like the Wizard of Gore. And there's just all these weird scenes where they're like, you know, like they're sitting having drinks, and like a girl's just like naked laying there as a table, and they've got like their glasses sitting. Like it's super like exploitation. There's a scene where they're playing darts, and every time they throw a dart, you just hear like, ah. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then at the very end, the camera pans around, and it's just a girl bent over with like a dart, like a bullseye dart painted on her butt cheeks, and just all these darts. Like, it's fucking weird, but it's delightful to watch people drunkenly realizing that it's on their television, where they're just like, what is, like, and I'm saying nothing. They're like, who put this on? I'm like, I don't know.
You're holding like an empty
case,
and you're like, oh no, me.
Oh shit, son! All right.
What about the Wizard of Gore sequel?
We did the one with Christian. Doesn't matter.
I would argue that the Uh-Oh game was kind of like a Wizard of Gore sequel.
The Uh-Oh game?
It was one of his most recent movies. The guy who did Blood Feast and Wizard of Gore and all this stuff. He did a movie like 5 years ago called the Uh-Oh game. It was like a game show where they would kill you on the game show if you lost, and everyone thought that it was like fake, and then they find like a group of investigators find like all the dead bodies in the back of the studio.
I might actually watch that.
Is this with the same crappy like effects that he had from like the exploitation movies of the 70s?
It's the same crappy effects that I'm trying to think. it kind of looks like the best way to describe it is think of the few gore scenes in UHF. And that's like on par with what the gore looks like in this movie.
Because I remember the Wizard of Gore where they had the girl go back to the restaurant and all that, and all of a sudden you go to the next scene and you see the floor of the restaurant completely surrounded in saran wrap as she had to have the gore and all that.
Yeah, I can't remember. Wizard of Gore is one of the only ones I only saw once because I think it's okay.
I watched the
but
original and I watched the remake once. They both were like.
I think because I think Blood Feast and 2000 Maniacs are way better and more entertaining films from him. But Wizard of Gore is fine. It's just a little too much dialogue-y.
Yeah.
He talks real long during those death scenes.
Oh, Ray Sager?
Yeah, no one told him cut.
Well, you know he wasn't the original guy, right?
No, who was the original guy?
The original guy was supposed, basically Ray Sager became the guy because he fit in the suit. But the guy who was cast as Montag, he didn't show up. So
wow, that's awesome.
Herschel Gordon-Lewis is like, well, Ray Sager fits the suit. Want to be Montag? Okay. And because of that, I just, now every time I watch, There Will Be Blood, Daniel Day-Lewis's, acting just reminds me of Ray Sager as Montag. I mean, it's just so overacting bad. I mean, Ray Sager never took acting classes in life.
Well, it was the Wizard of Gore in the 70s.
I don't think I think there was a high demand.
Yeah, pretty much they were like, we want to show some gore and some boobs.
Yep, all right, job done.
Yeah.
Who's the star of this? I don't know. Who cares?
Very good.
All right, so I think it's about time to wrap it up. I'm sick of talking for.
This is the first time I've ever heard him say that.
Yeah, 4 panels. I'm done. Thank you guys for coming, especially the guys who've been here for 3 or 4 of these panels. You guys are troopers, and I don't know why you like us.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.